Hey y'all, what's going on? It's me, Kevin, with Fit Man Cook. Well, we are now on part 3 of our series on jump-starting our healthy eating plan, and today it is all about attacking the grocery store, giving you tips and tricks so you can become a grocery store ninja. Does that even exist? We have a lot of information to cover today, so be sure that you check out fitmancook.com by clicking the link below. You can download all the information and the guides that I'll be sharing with you all in this video. Para la gente que habla español, mil disculpas porque tú sabes que este video está en inglés. Pero si echas un vistazo a mi página web fitmancook.com, puedes conseguir toda la info que voy a compartir. Todo está disponible en castellano. Como siempre, muchísimas gracias por todo el apoyo. Alright, now if you got your notepad ready, let's get started. The first thing you should do before leaving the house to go grocery shopping is to build out your grocery list. Now this is pretty important because it helps you to stay on track to achieve your fitness goals because you know exactly what you need to purchase so you can build out your meal plan and continue to make healthy meals. But also it's good from a budgeting standpoint, which is pretty important if you have a growing family or if you are on a pretty tight budget. One thing that I like to do in order to save money is to make a list of some of the non-perishable or frozen food items that I can purchase in bulk from some of those really big retail stores where you can go and you can purchase large quantities of food. So think of things like your oats and your grains and your pastas and even some canned goods that you can purchase in bulk in order to help you to save money. So before you dart off and go grocery shopping, check your pantry and do a quick inventory so you can find out exactly what you have so you won't go and spend money on something that you already have in your pantry. One quick and easy way that I'm able to stay up to date on my grocery list is I have this whiteboard in my kitchen. The whiteboard is divided into 4 sections. It's got house, food, vitamins, and recipe ideas. And so as I'm cooking in the kitchen, if I open up the fridge or open up the pantry and there's something there that I don't have, then I can quickly go to the whiteboard and jot it down here. And before leaving the house to go grocery shopping, I will whip out my cell phone, take a quick picture of it, and I will have the list for me as I go. Now there are apps out there to help you with this process, to help you with task management and also to organize your grocery list. For me, this was an easier solution because once I downloaded the apps, I would use them for about a week or 2 and then I would just stop using them completely. So this was a much easier, more practical solution for me. Also, here are 2 other resources that you may find helpful. The first one is a sample grocery list that I have used for my meals throughout the week. Now keep in mind that this grocery list was based off of my meals and my diet and for one person. So if you're making this for multiple persons or for a family, you're gonna have to adjust the quantities. And the second option is a much more straightforward approach. It is for one individual and it is based off of my $75 epic meal prep video. And if you check out that video, there is a link below the video that you can click on that you can get the grocery list and all the recipes that are featured in that video. Before we head off to the grocery store, I want to go over one more topic that I know can be kind of confusing and also intimidating, and that is the issue of food labeling. And with so many food labels out there, I know firsthand that it can be really confusing because you're thinking which one is marketing and which one is fact, which one is governed by an agency, which one is not. So while I do encourage you to do your own research on food labeling because I think it is really important for your health and fitness journey, I'm going to give you a quick crash course in some of the popular food labels out there. First, there are certified labels and then there are non-certified labels. The ones that are certified have a standard process and are tested and regulated by some regulatory agency. Now this is going to be coming from a US perspective, so please keep that in mind, that the food labeling standards differ from country to country. The first label is organic. I know we've all seen this one before. Now this one is regulated by the USDA and it pertains to any dairy, meat, produce, any condiments and food, processed foods, and even beverages. Foods with this label must contain at least 95% organic ingredients with no synthetic ingredients, irrigation, antibiotics, hormones, or pesticides. And certified organic animals are fed organic feed with no animal byproducts or growth hormones. And if you are concerned about which foods are most likely to have pesticide residue, then I highly recommend that you check out the Environmental Working Group Food List. And what they've done is they have analyzed the pesticide residue on popular produce and then they rank them. Items with lower numbers have more pesticides. So this is pretty important if you cannot afford to buy all organic produce, because I know that can be really expensive. But if you check out this list will help you to mix and match. So check it out. It'll help you to make some more informed decisions when it comes to your produce. Next is the fair trade label, which kind of threw me for a loop when I first saw it, because I was thinking, why in the world is this on my food? And if you purchase things like tea or coffee or honey or sugar, things like that, then you've probably seen the fair trade label on there. And what it means is that workers, or like people like farmers, are receiving fair wages and prices for their products that they are producing. Also, it means that they aren't using any child or forced labor, and that their working conditions are safe. And lastly, it means that their crops are grown in sustainable ways to support both social and economic development. Again, this applies to things like tea and coffee and fruit and herbs and spices and cocoa and honey and sugar. Next up is the naturally grown food label. Now this one is pretty interesting because I know there are tons of marketing claims out there about products being completely natural, and that's different from the naturally grown food label. So essentially, it's pretty expensive to be certified by the USDA Food Organic Program. So a more affordable way for farmers to be certified by a non-governmental agency is to go through this nonprofit. And the nonprofit is called the Certified Naturally Grown Nonprofit, whereby the farmers are the inspectors. While they have the same standards to be organic, it's just not done on a farm that is certified by the USDA Organic Program. Next up is the non-GMO Project Verified label. Now, GMO is a pretty hot topic here in the US, but also around the world. If you don't know, GMO stands for Genetically Modified Organism. And foods that have been genetically engineered have had its DNA artificially, not naturally, altered by genes from animals, plants, viruses, or even bacteria, just to produce compounds in food. So why should you care? Well, there have been significant concerns raised about both the short and long-term health risks associated with these types of modifications. And here in the US, well, there's no overarching labeling requirement to tell you whether or not a food has been genetically modified or not. The Non-GMO Project Verified is a nonprofit and is the only third-party labeling program in North America. And what they do is they help to verify that the process used to get products to be sold to us is using best practices to avoid the use of GMO in the entire production process. Next up is the grass-fed label, and this pertains to things like bison, lamb, beef, and dairy products. They are certified by the American Grass-Fed Association, and essentially animals are fed grass on a pasture with no grains during their growing season. Now these next labels are popular non-certified labels. Now these are not certified or tested by a regulatory agency and pretty much largely depend on the producer or the maker of the food to support the claim. Now this is particularly important when you're talking about animal protein, so pay attention to these next ones. First up is the all-natural claim. Now I know we have all seen this label out there. Now there is no universal standard for what all-natural means, so it literally can vary from product to product. But essentially it means that the product was initially created using natural ingredients. But depending on how that product or that food was manufactured, by the time it reaches your plate or by the time it reaches the shelves, it may or may not be natural anymore. This is especially true whenever you think about things like chicken, because they will often inject the chicken with some broth in order to enhance it. So they will still make that claim of it being all natural because it is still considered a fresh meat item. So something to think about. Next up is the free range claim, and basically it means that the animals are free to roam around and spend time outside. Now the amount of time that they actually spend outside is unknown because there are no standard regulations for free ranging animals. So they could spend 7 minutes outside or they can spend 7 hours, but no one really knows, so keep that in mind. Next up is the hormone free label. Now this is pretty interesting. Now since the USDA actually prohibits injecting foods like chicken with growth hormones, this label may or may not mean much to you, since regardless of whether or not there's a label on it, your chicken shouldn't have growth hormones in it anyway. So essentially I guess it just means that the farmer didn't use any artificial growth hormones or steroids in the production of its beef or chicken products. So I am here at one of my favorite grocery stores, and notice I said one of my favorite grocery stores because there are several. Now, many people complain that they don't sell particular items at their local grocery store. And my advice to you is to treat your food like you treat your clothes. You don't buy every single piece of clothing from one store, do you? Probably not. Hopefully you don't. So treat your food the exact same way and shop around to get variety. All right, let's go. All right, so as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on here. But shopping 101, shop the perimeter first. We're gonna leave all the aisle stuff until the very end. We're gonna load up on all the natural and fresh ingredients that are usually around the outside perimeter of the grocery store. So you may be wondering why I have headphones on. Well, I started this a long time ago where I like to listen to my workout music as I shop. It pretty much reminds me of why I'm here. So, here we go, music on. We are here in the protein section, which is usually my first stop in any grocery run. Now, I like to spend the majority of my money on high quality protein. Again, this is a personal preference for me because I realized that there was a difference in the flavors and taste, but also in how my body was responding to the higher quality protein. While I do recommend you purchasing higher quality protein, I do know that it's not always practical from a budgetary standpoint. So do what your budget allows, but keep in mind what I shared before about food labeling so you can make the most informed decision that fits your diet and your goals, but also your bank account. I love adding seafood to my diet. It's a great lean source of protein. The only thing is, seafood can be kind of pricey depending on the season and also the type of fish. So when it's on sale, you should buy it and then freeze it and enjoy it for later. And if you have roommates or you're in college and you're looking to save a little bit, what you can do is you can buy protein in bulk, like fish and poultry and beef, and then split the cost of it and then freeze it, and you all can enjoy it for later meals. So my second stop in the store is usually the produce section, where we get to load up on fresh veggies and fruits for the entire week. And remember to check out the Environmental Working Group food list. If your budget allows, you can always go organic. So one of my favorite fruits to add to my diet when it's in season is actually the watermelon. Now, a lot of people try to stay away from it, or they tend to stay away from it because they think that it's really high in sugar, but it's really low in calories and it's packed with tons of water, so it helps out with hydration. Not to mention, it's chock full of vitamins. And it has a pretty good rating from the EWG food list because of its thick layer of skin. So if you've been following me for a while now, then you know that sweet potatoes are one of my go-to veggies. I love them because they're flavorful and they're really easy to cook with. Plus, they're loaded with beta-carotene, vitamin C, fiber, and tons of other vitamins and minerals that you can pump into your diet. And again, they're super easy to cook with, so this is always a staple and a win in my diet. We're now here at the dairy section, and depending on who you talk to, there are pros and cons for adding in dairy to your diet. I personally have dairy in my diet, but I have it in there in very select ways. One way that I really like to incorporate dairy into my diet is through yogurt. I love Greek yogurt, and if you've seen any of my recipes or watched any of my videos, you know that I am a Greek yogurt fan. Greek yogurt has tons of health benefits. Number one, it's really thick, so it helps you to feel fuller longer. Plus, it's really high in protein. It's packed with calcium and zinc and vitamin B12, and it's also got some probiotics to help to keep you on the regular. So you can put it in sauces and salads, even in baking recipes. So all around, Greek yogurt is just a great food to incorporate in your diet. People ask me which one I prefer, the 0% or the 2%. Now, I always go with the 2%. I think the 2% tastes better, and the 0%, oftentimes what they'll do with these 0% foods is they will take out the fats and then replace it with hidden sugars to make up for the loss in taste. So quick caveat on this yogurt thing is that while I do encourage you to eat Greek yogurt, I want you to get the plain Greek yogurt. Just get simple, plain Greek yogurt. Don't get the kind with the fruity syrup at the bottom of it or with the flavored kind. oftentimes those additives decrease the nutritional value of the Greek yogurt that you're actually purchasing. So again, go plain or go home, and then if you want some fruit at the bottom, go to the produce section and get your own fruit and chop it up and put them at the bottom of your bowl, all right? I don't know about you, but I know for me for sure that the snack aisle can be absolute torture because we see all those foods that we have given up but we really love. So here I just keep it moving, or the most that I'll buy is probably some air pop popcorn, some beef jerky, and some plain unsalted forms of nuts. So I said the piece about listening to music in the store. Now you want to be careful because sometimes you can have a really good song come on and you feel like this, but you look like this. So listen to your music wisely and turn it down just a bit so you don't disturb your fellow shoppers. Canned goods. So let me first say that I am a huge proponent of eating fresh, natural vegetables, but I know that it's not always practical, and actually some canned goods can be just as nutritious as some of the fresh vegetables. It's just a matter of which ones you choose. Now I think canned goods are also good if you are on a budget or if you're trying to save some time in the kitchen. Now, if you are going to buy canned vegetables, I do recommend that you purchase the ones that are very low sodium or have zero sodium added whatsoever. And then you can take it home and you can doctor it up yourself by adding in your own fresh sea salt and seasonings to make the dish your own. Soft drink and sodas, don't even think about it. I love the smell of the bread aisle. It gets me every single time. So this aisle can be kind of tricky. So you got to make sure that you have your list ready to go. When trying to select a bread, I would go for things that have whole grains and that are high in fiber. I would probably stay away from things that say enriched wheat flour because it could just be code for white flour with a tan. One of my favorite breads to add to my diet is the Ezekiel bread. It's by Food for Life. Now it's not found here on the bread aisle. It's going to be in your frozen food section because it is living bread and it's got to stay frozen. But it's packed with grains and nuts and seeds, and it does take some getting used to because it is a very hearty bread, but it's also very filling and quite nutritious. Now the cereal aisle can be like doomsday for some people. I know that it is for me because there's so many sugary, delicious treats that you want to stuff into your basket, but they're not heart healthy for you. So here you need to really have a plan. And what I come for the oats, I come for grains, and I come for things like quinoa. So if you have that list, just be sure that you just can walk through and grab it and go. So the last thing you want to do, you want to check over your basket, look at your food list, and make sure that you got everything that you came to the store for. And don't forget the most important thing, again from our last video, is our one wildcard option. You have to find one new food item or eat a food that you have not had in a long time. And for me, I haven't found that item yet, so I need to go back to shopping to find out what that new food item could be. So my new food item for the week is going to be some bulgur wheat. And the cool thing about buying grains like this or other types of carbs is that you have so much of it so you can have some left over in case you want to try other recipes that you find online. Okay, so that was a quick overview of how I go grocery shopping. Now it's back to the kitchen with all this food. Woo, so we have made it through another long epic video today, and I want to thank y'all just for hanging in there with me. Hopefully you found the content helpful for you, and while you may not be a grocery store ninja just yet, at least today you got the uniform so you could just look the part even though you can't scale walls just quite yet. Be sure that you check out fitmencooks.com to get all the information that I shared in this video. And as always, I want to thank y'all for watching. Keep it healthy, but never boring.